Out the title, but it was tight at the top. Mason, Hawkswood, Allport and Murray, along with Borden, all set their sights on Chris West. It's all or nothing for championship glory on round 5, the Mincorp and Total Rally of Nelson. Now, the beautiful city of Nelson may be the oldest city in New Zealand, but this is the first year for the Nelson Car Club to host a round of the Parker NZ Rally Championship. While the city is to lose its hosting of the fabulous Wearable Arts Awards, symbolically, it was at the Museum of Wearable Arts that the rally crews gathered for a ceremonial start on Saturday afternoon for Nelson's newest national event. So after 4 rounds, Chris West starts the rally with a 28-point lead, but look at the battle behind him. Mason, Allport, Hawkswood and Murray all looming large in the battle.
Well, kids, who do you think's going to win the championship?
Chris West!
Well, what do you think on that, Wesley? They think you can do it. You've got a 28-point lead.
There's nothing like pressure, is there? But no, it's we're a 28-point lead, like you said. It's we're in the most favourable position, and 2 rounds to go to the championship. So no real pressure to obviously chase for a top 3 position here for us. But having said that, it'd be nice to obviously get on the podium.
And closest in contention is Richard Mason, who has the extra pressure of starting number 1 on the road.
There you go.
To be fair, to take full advantage of being first on the road, we'd be hoping that it's dry as and there's no wind whatsoever. The only disadvantage with that is first up on the morning there could be a bit of ice, so we could be playing a bit of sweeper on that. But we'll see.
Great to see the fans turned out for the Rally of Nelson, and Neil Allport is just 1 point behind Mason and finding form at the perfect stage of the championship.
We have seemed to have been able to build on our speed and confidence. I think, I'm a little bit fitter and have just done some more mileage in the car, and I'm hoping that we can continue on from where we were in Hawke's Bay the last few stages, which I was very comfortable with, and if we can do that, I think we're in a good position.
Trademark of Neil Allport and Old was go in the first stage. He used to pull a blinder. Tomorrow you've got a 48-kilometre stage. Probably a lot of these younger guys aren't used to that sort of kilometres.
No, well, that's right, and it is important, this first stage tomorrow, and I think that it will have to be a blinder if you want to result in this rally, because you won't want to lose half or quarter of a second to K to anyone else, because that's really the day over. The rest of the event is so fast, it will be near impossible to get any sort of time back. You'll be relying on someone else having a puncture or some sort of problem. So, but of course, having said that, you've got to make sure you don't get a puncture yourself, so there's a lot to do.
The rally would be run over 7 stages, but using just 4 forestry roads about 20 kilometres south of Nelson City. 196 kilometres of special stages. Stage 2 and 3 repeated as 5 and 6, and Stage 7 was a reverse of Stage 1. And Stage 1 was a real challenge, a monster 48.9 kilometre marathon stage through the Moteri Forest. Mainly very fast, wide roads with a very hard-packed base. Heavy snow in the hills and mountains around the Nelson area in the previous week had left a stunning landscape. But in the early morning, the temperatures hadn't reached above 0 as Richard Mason sat on the start line. Regular co-driver Hamish Fenimore was sidelined awaiting the birth of his first child, so team manager Gary Smith took over for this rally. Running first on the road always means that the car will be sweeping loose gravel off the top of the road. But Mason was also dislodging large rocks from behind him coming out of the high-speed corners, and that was going to create problems for the following competitors. His time, a 30.09.
Richard got through the first 48 monster stage. How was it in there for you?
It was really good. We struggled to get to the rhythm a little bit, but it was a lot shorter than you would expect. It's quite fast, so it was good fun, and it's a lot of top gear stuff. So yeah, good fun.
And of course, sweeping the road. Any problem sweeping the road? Being one on the road?
Yeah, and it was surprisingly slippery. I thought that there'd be far more grip than what there was, but that's just part of the game. When you're one on the road, you get to sweep the gravel, so that's how it is.
Now, over a 49-kilometre stage, there would always be an advantage for the more powerful Group A cars. And next up on the road, Andrew Hawkswood was already 10 seconds up on Mason at the first split. In fact, by the end of the stage, the Group A Mitzi is 30 seconds ahead of Mason, but Hawkswood isn't happy with the setup.
It didn't feel right the whole way through, you know. We'll have to play around with this car at service. It certainly didn't feel right, that's for sure.
Do you think possibly tyres?
Possibly tyres, I don't know. Maybe we changed a little bit at shakedown the other day, so maybe we went the wrong way with it for this fast stuff, but yeah, it didn't feel right.
While Mason and Hawkeswood elected to go for medium compound tyres, Todd Borden chose a hard compound Dunlop, which he hoped would last through the long stage. But the air temperature is just 2 degrees now, and at the end of the stage his tyres are hardly worn, so haven't really been working.
Probably these are a little bit hard for that, but that's okay. We'll be right for this afternoon. We need to have some good tyres for this afternoon, so we hung in there, and just a long way to go yet.
3, 2, 1, go. 5 left in long, open.
In fact, tyre choice would be critical. Chris West gambles on a soft Pirelli tyre, thinking that the low ground temperature would mean the tyres would be working at their optimum. But just a third of the way through the stage, his front tyres overheat. The tread becomes soft like marshmallows, and the end result is bad understeer. No matter how carefully Westy nurses the car through the corners, he's still losing time.
Go wide. 60, 6 right. 30. 5 left minus, yes.
And Westy stops the clock with a 30.31, a minute behind Hawkeswood.
Chris, you took a gamble on soft tyres going into the stage. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, they're good to about a quarter of the way through, but that's what we that's what we chose, and we can't change that. We know what we're going to do for the rest of the day. It's a wee bit warmer than what it was yesterday, so they're obviously no doubt they're pretty worn out.
So after this stage, you're going to go to the harder compound?
Yeah, we'll go to a harder compound. The car felt pretty good, but the tyres just went off, and of course it was pushing quite bad, and obviously cost us a wee bit of time.
Mark Tapper should have been able to take advantage of West's mistake, but he was having his own problems. Punctured early in the stage and had no option but to change the tyre. He was passed by Glenn Smith in the stage and lost a massive 4 minutes and 11 seconds. At 6 on the road, Glenn Smith seems to have the ideal road conditions here at the first split. But dust is becoming more of an issue at the Ridgetop intersection right here, and Smith's time is 29 minutes 57 seconds. Just behind him, Neil Allport looks slow in comparison. He had strained his back in the morning of the rally. He was also suffering from a head cold, so he wasn't exactly feeling 100. And driving for 50 kilometres is physically demanding, so it's amazing he actually came out of the stage with the fastest time.
Neil, looks like the tyres on this car are pretty well worn.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult, you know. It's even though there was a bit of a line there, it was very hard to stay in it, so I'd say they're a bit used up, but you know, I'm really suffering the effects of this flu that I've been trying to fight off there in that long stage, and seems to have frozen up a little bit, but we just hope that it gets better.
So the top 4 were Group A cars, while Richard Mason is the only production car to make any impression in 5th. Dean Sumner had a shocking start in the ITM Evo 6. He punctured on stage 1 and stopped to change the tyre. That cost around 3 minutes, then later in the stage he overshoots the corner. In the end he was struggling, down in 41st place, over 5 minutes lost to Allport. Sam Murray did okay, even though he went wide on that corner. He was in 6th place, 34 seconds down on Allport. Tom Pritchard was in 7th, nearly a minute down on the leaders, but only 25 seconds slower than Mason, so still in touch with the production cars. But he had Lewis Scott just half a second behind him in 8th, and Scott was only 3 seconds ahead of Chris West. Austin Jones was back after missing the Hawke's Bay rally and sitting in 10th. But he had Grant Barber just a few seconds behind him, while Emma Gilmore in 12th was just 2 seconds behind Barber. Once again, the rally was divided up into a cluster of competitors separated by just a few seconds, a pattern which has been repeated in all the rounds this year of the Parker NZ Championship. On board with Gilmore, you can see that the dust is a problem as she catches Dean Sumner, who's got going again after a puncture. But she too is suffering from tyres overheating.
150. Turn 4 left minus. And
Sorry, we can't.
7 left, keep left, 50.
So Allport surprises himself with a 1.5 second lead over Hawkswood, 7 seconds back to Boredom. And this is the battle of the championship for now, with West out of the picture in 9th. The other battle was the Kiwi 2 class, which caters for two-wheel drive cars up to 2.5 litres. And going into the rally, though, was the 1600 Suzuki of Jason West, leading by just 1 point.
The whole aim is to win this championship, so to lead at this stage is our aim for the year and try and keep it till the end of the year.
But West was 4th fastest in the class with a time of 34 minutes 22 seconds. Second in the championship, Sarah Randall. But she only made it just past here before her engine expired. So Shane Watkin took the class win with a time of 33 minutes 03 in his Nissan Pulsar. Kane Barry's older Nissan was second, just 10 seconds behind and ahead of the 1600cc Corolla of James Hancock. Hancock once again showing his speed despite his car's small engine. But where was class favourite Dave Strong in the Honda Jazz with the Integra R engine? With over 200 horsepower, this car would have provided a monster-killing performance on these wide roads.
Lost the brakes. Oh, no, that's hopeless.
But Strong was having to slow down using just a handbrake after his brakes failed, and that was proving to be a handful.
5 left. Into a 6 right minus.
He's passed first by Kane Barry. Then Shane Watkin. Then Jason West and James Hancock. Finally finishing 7 minutes down in 54th place. Back at service, Neil Allport was getting a helping hand on his sore back. Hawkswood team, like many of the top cars, were replacing brake pads.
Okay, Andrew, looks like there's a little bit of tyre wear after that 48 kilometres.
Yeah, unfortunately we've only got soft tyres for this event, and they're not really holding up at the moment. But you know, we're putting the widest ones that we've got on the car, so we'll see how we go.
Okay, Neil, looks like there's a bit of activity on the back of the car there.
Yeah, we had a problem about a third of the way into the stage where the rear brakes had started playing up, and it appears that one of the push rods on the cylinder had come loose. So it had some clearance in it, and you know, every time I jumped on the brake pedal there wasn't nothing there, so I was continuously pumping the pedal back up. I thought it was really going to cost me big time, but obviously not as bad as I first thought. But I suppose you sort of think what if, but there you go, never mind.
But it's already the end of the rally for Dylan Turner.
Gearbox 3rd and 4th gear in that stage halfway through, so we had to really slow down. So yeah. We're going to try and put it in and see how it goes. I don't fancy our chances, but yeah.
Coming up, rocks rip up the tyres and cause havoc in the Nelson forests. After the 49 kilometres of stage 1, a relatively short sprint of 14 k's on stage 2 through Spooner's Bush Road, and then stage 3, 29 kilometres of North Road, which had a steep forward about a third of the way in, which would prove to be very difficult for most of the top competitors. Richard Mason had been worried about being first on the road and having to sweep the light gravel off the surface. But in fact, he was acting as a road digger. Just as in the WRC Rally Germany, when the first cars were spreading mud on the tarmac as they cut the corners, Mason was spreading large gravel and rocks behind him onto the stages, causing havoc for those behind. But this time, the stage times will be much closer. Hawkswood's fourth fastest with 8 minutes 41.3, just over 2 seconds faster than Mason. And Mark Tapp was on a charge to be third fastest, trying to make up for the time lost on stage 1, now up from 33rd to 22nd. Glenn Smith showing his intention to shine here despite a terrible season of bad luck, 5 seconds faster than Tapper in second. But it was the Marley man, Todd Borden, who won the stage with a time of 8:32.2 and put himself into the lead.
Did the car feel a little bit better?
I pushed a bit harder. The tyres did feel better, you know. Like I say, in that stage I ran them 2 pounds higher, and I think we beat everyone by 10 seconds and 14k, so it's not bad.
But what about Neil Allport? After that brilliant charge on stage 1, despite his back pain, he punctured 3k's into the stage and drove out on a rim, losing a minute and dropping to 5th overall.
Neil, bit of a problem in there?
Yeah, 3k in there, we just this huge rock in the middle of the corner, like there was just no way we're going to miss it. It'd been dragged out by someone else ahead of us, and she's just an instant puncher.
3, 2, 1, go. 100, 7 right 150.
Chris West had bolted on harder tyres and they were working. His time wasn't spectacular, 6th fastest and 4 seconds slower than Mason, but at least now he was up to 7th overall. Gilmore had shown in round 3 at Rotorua that she was capable of a top 5 finish. Here on stage 2, she was 7th fastest, just 10 seconds slower than Mason, who led the production cars.
Into long 3 right.
But more problems for Dean Sumner.
What's happened here, Dean? Using a bit of water?
Yeah, we've blown a head gasket, but yeah, us Rotorua boys never give up, so we'll just keep on going and just have to, I think that through that 48k we'll have to stop halfway through and put water in it again. It's using about 2 litres every 15k, even in touring. It's just, yeah, she's guzzling it.
So you got another stage before the service park, so you think you got enough water to put in it?
Yeah, we'll be right. We stop off all the puddles and fill it up, so yeah, we'll be right. We won't give up until it stops.
So the same 5 cars in the top 5, but now it's Borden on top with a slim 3-second lead over Hawkswood. 2 Fords in the next stage, 30-kilometre North Road, would have a significant impact in the rally. First, the short but steep one at the start of the stage. Then a large concrete-based wide Ford near the end, which literally had the cars flying. Richard Mason was 4th fastest through the stage, but drama was about to unfold behind him. Andrew Hawkswood next through, and he punctures right here at the 2nd Ford. So what should have been a charge into the lead turns into a struggle just to keep the car under control for the last 2Ks, and he posts a disappointing time of 21 minutes 26.1. Chris West thumps the first Ford and thinks he's got a puncture, but he's okay.
25k to go. Let's not press 30.
And that's Todd Borden stuck on the side of the road, out of the rally with broken suspension. So with Borden out and Hawkswood slowed by the puncher, the leaderboard was about to change again. Despite that bang through the first Ford, Westy has a good time on the stage. The fastest production car, 20 minutes 30.9 seconds, and that's nearly a minute faster than Hawkswood and moves him from 7th to 5th. But the real mover on the stage is Sam Murray. He'd been 6th fastest on stage 2, but puts in a flyer to win the stage. It's his first year of the championship, remember. His time 20 minutes 26 seconds. Neil Allport also made up time here after that puncture on 2. 3rd fastest, 20 minutes 34 seconds. If his back was still painful, he certainly wasn't letting it affect his stage times.
100.
Glenn Smith retired with overheating, and 3 other drivers posted notable times through here. Emma Gilmore had a slow start on stage 1, but was just in the top 10 after stage 2.
4 right. Minus 5 left plus into 4 right.
But here she survives that scare and puts it all together, posting 6th fastest time, 21 minutes 16.8. Moving up to 7th overall. She also overtook Tom Pritchard to take the lead in the other rally series being competed for. That's the Mainland Series. Malcolm Stewart, who won the rally last year as part of that series, was just 0.6 of a second behind Gilmore, now up to 9th. And Lewis Scott just another 4 seconds back behind Stewart. That actually moves Scott up to 6th overall. With the retirements ahead of him, Tom Pritchard moved up to 8th, but lost the lead in the mainland class to Gilmore. So on the leaderboard with the reshuffle, it's Richard Mason who comes out on top. Sam Murray looking good, just 6.8 seconds behind. And Allport will be happy with 3rd, still in touch with the leaders.
So everybody behind you seems to be having a problem, so maybe throwing a few rocks on the road for the boys behind you.
Yeah, that may be the case. You know, like any forestry road's sort of the same problem, and I think as you, especially if you cut a corner or something, you might pull out a few rocks and things. You don't know where they are. We don't know when we're running over them, but possibly that's happening. Even the Zero car's pulling a few out in front of us, so it definitely does happen.
Okay, you've got a 7-second lead over Sam Murray, I think it is now. So what's the plan for the rest of the day? Do you have to attack even more?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call. We'll probably try and continue the way we are and just try and hold station if we can. Sam could will be wanting that first win, so he'll be wanting to reel us in, I would suspect.
You're 8 seconds behind Richard, so the plan this afternoon, are you going to attack?
No, I don't think attack, just tidy up my act a bit with judging the clearings and not make so many mistakes, and I think that'll sort of keep us there or thereabouts. If we can finish top 4, then I'm happy, and if come the last stage we're all within 2 or 3 seconds, and I think it's every man for themselves, I guess, for the last 50 Ks.
Okay, so you've now dropped down to 4th overall, but you're only 15 seconds behind Richard Mason, who's leading. So this afternoon it's all on?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll be going for the doctor today, so we'll see how we go.
But for Todd Borden, a simple bolt failure had put paid to his season.
It's a cruel sport. The best roads in New Zealand, leading the rally, and a $5 bolt. No, we're out. That's it. It's a win here and win the tarmac, and at least win 3 events was my goal. So we were on track. We had a plan. We had some good tyres. We had the right tyres for the weekend, but this is not to be. So.
Stick around to see who can handle the rocky roads of Nelson in the Parker NZ Rally Championship. After his disastrous start on stage 1 that saw him virtually last in the rally, Dave Strong desperately needed to make up time in the Kiwi 2 class. Maybe too desperate.
5 left. Keep going straight, keep going straight. Keep going straight. Straight ahead there. Sorry, yeah, 5 left.
On stage 2, he was just 11 seconds down on class 2 to Kane Barry and moved from 54th to 50th. But on stage 3, it all went wrong and bad again, with a suspension bolt coming loose. So the battle for Kiwi 2 was fought out between the Nissans of Kane Barry, who survived that battle of the bridge, but lost 4 seconds to Shane Watkin on stage 3. Now after service, 3 stages together. Stage 4, another short 10k sprint south of the service park at Tapawera. Stage 5 was a repeat of stage 2, and 6 a repeat of stage 3, Wellington Gully. So would the rocks, which had caused so many punctures in the top 10, have been swept off by the other cars, or would the road be even more rock strewn?
Flat crest 300.
Richard Mason only had 7 seconds up his sleeve going into stage 4, but with only 10 kilometres, it was unlikely that Murray would catch him yet. The road here was fast and smooth, but Mason was caught out on a corner. Mason posted 6 minutes 18.5. In fact, Murray's time is only 1.3 seconds faster, so no real change to the top of the leaderboard. Mason 1, Murray 2. Andrew Hawkswood needed to win every stage now, as he can only stay in touch with West in the championship race by winning this rally. He's the fastest, 6 minutes 16.6.
3, 2, 1, go. Short sector minus
But West was second fastest through the stage, just 0.5 seconds behind.
In 4 left, 80.
It's only in the last couple of years that timing on the Parker NZ rallies has been done to the 10th of a second. In fact, previous to that, Hawkswood, West and Murray would have been given equal times of 6 minutes 17. It just shows you how competitive this championship has now become. Talking of going for it, Neil Allport was 6th fastest, only 4 seconds down on Hawkswood. Lewis Scott was still in touch with Allport, 6th overall. But Emma Gilmore was just 23 seconds behind him in 7th and had Tom Pritchard chasing hard. This was turning into an intriguing battle of youth versus experience. Gilmore was the slowest of the 3 on the stage with a 6 minutes 33.9.
5 left minus. 50 crest. 50 finish.
Pritchard was 1.7 seconds faster, so close to just 1.3 seconds off Gilmore. Stage 5 was the first repeat stage of the day, significant because for the first time in the rally, Richard Mason would be running not as the road sweeper, but in the tracks left by the previous run through the stage. But as you can see, that's a puncture in the rear of Mason's car. He can still keep going. Until this, the rear wheel is shattered and ripped off the bumper. They have no option but to stop and change. Hawkswood's next, and his time of 8 minutes 47.9 becomes the time to beat. But would it be fast enough to take him into the lead?
4 left long.
Next through and staying away from the edge is West.
7 left and 2 flat, small crest.
Westie's time of 8 minutes 37.2 is 10 seconds faster than Hawkswood. It's not looking good for the Mitsubishi driver. Mark Tabber's 8 minutes 29.7 is 20 seconds quicker than Hawkswood. He jumps up to 13th. But Sam Murray charges through to win the stage, 8 minutes 29.1, and grabs the rally lead. Neil Allport is 3rd fastest on the stage, 8 minutes 32.6. That moves him ahead of Hawkswood and back into contention. In the other battle, Lewis Scott stayed in 5th place, but Emma Gilmore had the gap down to 20 seconds in 6th as she moved ahead of Tom Pritchard by 9 seconds.
Minus. Opens to 6, tightens to 4 left, 30, 2 right.
Malcolm Stewart, Austin Jones and Brett Martin were now in a battle for 8th and 10th places. Jones had the upper hand on this stage, but Stewart is still ahead by 18 seconds overall in the standings. Martin is now 24 seconds back in 11th, just 1 second ahead of Richard Mason, who dropped to 12th after the puncture. So what a difference one stage makes. Murray now with a 14-second lead over Allport, Hawkswood another 12 back. It's still anyone's rally. And still to come, 2 Subarus and 2 Mitsubishis, all within 30 seconds at the top. The battle lines are drawn in the Parker NZ Rally Championship. Stage 6 was another run through North Road, and at nearly 30 kilometres the chances of a puncture were high. With Mason out of the equation, it was Hawkeswood who needed to make his move here. His last run through the stage in the morning had been hampered by a puncture. Now he attacked the stage and was the fastest through. 20 minutes, 14.4 seconds. That's 11.6 seconds faster than Sam Murray's winning time in the morning. Mark Tapper was the second fastest through the stage, just 0.3 seconds slower than Hawkeswood. Chris West needed to keep in touch with Hawkeswood here. While he had a good points lead in the championship, he couldn't afford to drop out of the points race here and give Hawkeswood a big break. Just check out the view.
30, 7 right 30, 5 left tightens to 4 left minus and tightens again.
His time 20 minutes and 29.8 seconds, was just 1 second faster than his morning run.
To 3 right long junction. 30. 5 left plus 80. 4 left minus in junction 30.
But Sam Murray had 2 punctures, both on the rear, and that cost him 52 seconds and dropped him to third. That should have elevated Neil Allport into second, but he too punctured and was even slower through the stage than Murray. So now it was Hawkeswood, West, Murray and Allport. Lewis Scott was still in fifth, 53 seconds back. Emma Gilmore had some pressure taken off her when Tom Pritchard went off the road in the stage. Ironically, the young Dunedin driver was in the same position as she'd been in Rotorua, heading for her best championship result. On that occasion, her car failed, so it was fingers crossed all would keep going well here.
35 left plus, 100 turn 3 left plus, don't go wide.
Malcolm Stewart moved to 7th after Pritchard's demise. But Austin Jones had to stop with a puncture, so the battle for the minor placings took a turn. Grant Barber had been slowly improving in each stage and now took 11th from Brett Martin. Martin had been slowed with mechanical gremlins over the last 2 stages, still held 12th but would retire at the end of the service break. That would move Deborah Kibble within striking distance of another top 10 finish. As the crews waited to go into the service park for the final time, it was a battered lineup of cars. Richard Mason's damage the most dramatic. And the time lost had certainly put paid to any chance of him taking out the championship for 2004.
Richard, looks like there was a bit of drama in the 4th and 5th stage.
Yeah, the one after service, we had a little bit of a moment and just went wide into a bank, and that was okay, but, you know, like a bit of a moment. But then the next stage, we were coming around the right-hand corner, and the left rear just dug in a little bit, and the tyre came off the rim, and then a couple of K's up the road, the wheel actually broke and came off and tore the rear bumper off as it came off as well. So we had to stop and change the wheel.
Put you out of contention, a big time loss?
Yeah, sure. You know, we're probably looking at 3 minutes, I think it was, and it's enough to be well out of contention now.
First to third, Sam Murray wasn't about to give up on his chances of a win here.
Okay, you come into service with the 2 flat tyres. Is it going to put a strain on the rear diff?
I don't think it would have done any favours, but, you know, only one stage to go, it's 50k. It's probably only, you know, limited slip unit, so at worst, it, you know, might be down a little bit of grip, change the oil and see what happens. But, you know, that'll get through.
And there was still plenty of pressure on Andrew Hawkeswood.
Okay, you've got to go a 48-kilometre stage. You've got a 16-second lead over Chris West. I guess you can't take it too easy.
No, definitely not. But I mean, the biggest problem is going to be rocks again. You know, already had a puncture today, and been off a couple of times with the, you know, wearing tyres out. So you know, it's ain't over yet.
Back in the stage, the battle was still on for a top place in the Kiwi 2 class.
6 left and 30. Small crest. 80.
Dave Strong was having a day he'd rather forget. The Honda Jazz had lost brakes early on, the front suspension had dropped a bolt, and the engine had been misfiring. He needs points badly to stay in touch with class leader Jason West and was desperately trying to get past West on the table. Problem was, despite beating West on these final stages, he'd lost so much time on stage 1 that the task was just too hard for Strong, who finished 5th in the class.
To finish, 4 right minus. Well done.
West has been in the lead of the Kiwi 2 class because of consistent finishes, so 4th in the class on this rally again gave him enough points to stay in front. James Hancock only joined the championship after round 2, but his speed in the tiny Corolla has been very impressive, and he posts another 3rd place in the class. But the battle for this round has been fought out amongst the Nissans. Kane Barry, finally having a rally with few problems. He was 2nd in the class. And Shane Watkin, following on from the speed we've seen all year, to also have a clean run, scoring a win in his rookie season. But how costly had those early DNFs been? So coming up, we count down to the final showdown on the rally roads of Nelson. Sudner stuck in there, filling his car's radiator at every stop and nursed it through to the finish to end up 24th. But that was enough to secure the title the Junior Rally Champion for 2004 for the Waterboy. Next up, aside from the Kiwi 2 cars, Austin Jones was the 12th championship driver home, finishing in 14th place overall. But sadly, hanging up his helmet after providing us with many memorable moments over the years.
Austin, you've been a long time supporter of New Zealand Rally Championship. Looks like this is your final stage, you were saying.
Yeah, kind of happy in a way almost. Really good fun. Been a great rally, and we've just hung in there. Had a double puncher and 2 stages ago, and that was about it for us. So it's a funny old game, mate, but some ways I'm disappointed, some ways I'm glad to move on.
Deborah Kibble was next championship finisher, but just missed out on the top 10. And after a consistent rally in 5th, Lewis Scott punctured on the final stage. That meant he lost 3.5 minutes, changing the tyre, and eventually finished 10th. Grant Barber moved from 14th to 8th in the final 3 stages. A great result for him to end the season.
6 left.
Richard Mason gave himself a chance with a strong 3rd fastest through the last stage. He knew that all total hopes had been dashed with a puncture. It had been unfortunate, but his bad luck had struck so late in the rally. He would have to settle for 8th. The best he can now hope for is 2nd in the championship. Last year, Malcolm Stewart came to Nelson for this rally to check out the roads and came away with the win. This year, he'd settled for 7th. Emma Gilmore had driven the best rally of her career, making few mistakes. She and Chris Randall have only competed together twice, so to secure 6th place was a huge boost for the young Dunedin woman.
To turn 2 left, 50 concrete forward.
In fact, Emma nearly scored 5th, but Mark Tapper put on a huge drive through the final stage to overtake her. At one stage, it looked as though Tapper was happy to cruise through the rally with nothing more to gain after his early time loss, but once again showed he's got plenty of class and will be a force to be reckoned with in 2005. And so to the top 4, the Mitsubishi versus Subaru battle at its best. All put in Hawkswood in the red corner, Westy and Murray in the blue, and anyone could win.
Neil, both Sam Murray and Andrew Hawkswood can see you're a threat that you might do a blinder through here and pull something out of the hat. What do you think?
Well, we're going to have to do something if we want to win or get ahead of those two. So certainly, we're going to we'll push it. That's for sure.
We got no interest to obviously chase for a win. It's more important for the production championship here. We've just really got to finish to secure that championship. And as far as the overall is concerned, Neil's not that far behind us. So don't know. We'll wait and see.
Well, we're 16 seconds in front of Chris, so we've really got to be conservative. But there's no point holding back too much.
Now, Neil Allport's already had one spectacular win this season in Rotorua. But despite winning the first stage at Nelson, this was not about to be another. After punctures, a sore back and brake problems, his gear selector broke. He lost 42 seconds and would eventually finish in 4th.
Neil got through the last stage, but looks like the bad luck continues.
Yeah, it does. About 12k in there, the gear shift cable broke inside here, and at the time I was in 5th gear, so we knew that wasn't going to be much good, so we managed to muck about and get 3rd gear, drive the rest of the stage, so it wasn't our day.
So now it was down to one Chris West in a production Subaru against 2 Group A cars.
Go. 6 left. Exit over flat.
And on a 49-kilometre stage over some of the fastest stretches of rally roads in the country, only a mistake by Murray of Hawkeswood was going to give Westy a win. He was slower than both, posting the 5th fastest time, but 3rd overall still puts him well ahead of the championship and gave him the 2004 production rally title. Sam Murray has won his first stage, been on the podium at Hawke's Bay. Now he would come home 2nd in Nelson. A fantastic result, which not only gave him the 2004 rookie title, but puts him in contention for the Group A title with 1 round to go.
Yeah, if we got 2nd, it'd be fantastic. I had a bit of brain fade over the finish and went off into the trees after the finish, so it was pretty lucky actually that it wasn't the corner before.
So the leader changed 6 times in 7 stages, and Andrew Hawkeswood showed just how far he's come in 2004. Another mature drive, not upset by the early setbacks and punctures, kept the pressure on the opposition and came home to win the Rally of Nelson.
Andrew, looks like you got through the stage, could be your 2nd win of the year.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it's been a tough old day, you know, with punctures and hitting things and spins, but no, it's good to be here, that's for sure.
This morning, earlier on, you were saying that you couldn't really get into the groove, but obviously something's happened during the day, so you've got into the groove.
Oh, definitely. We've made a lot of changes, and, you know, I'm a lot happier with the car this afternoon, so much happier.
So that win's certainly hard fought. 2 Subarus at the top 3 keeps the Manufacturers' Championship alive. And great results too for Emma Gilmore and Grant Barber. Stephen Burley, Les Summerfield and Dermot Martin, the 3 non-championship drivers to make it into the top 16. And what a great result too for Shane Watkin, getting the class win in 16th place. So a very happy Andrew Hawkeswood takes his 2nd victory, but Chris West and Gary Cowan are the production class champions.
Yeah, it's great. Like, once again, I suppose, it's 5 rounds out of 6. So I think it's, at the end of the day, it's the consistency that's paid off. And, you know, even though, like, you know, Mark's been driving last half of the season, you know, really, really good, some good speed. But unfortunately, you know, he's lost too many points at the start of the year. So, yeah, very happy.
So another great result for the Westie man in the Winger Subaru car, and overall he now has a 25-point lead going into the final event, followed by Hawkeswood and Murray. Chris West, of course, wraps up his 4th production car championship, a great result, followed by Mason and Sumner. Jason West has the lead in the Kiwi 2 class going into the final event. Sam Murray, what a year for the rookie, takes out that title. And also in the Junior Rally Championship, the Rotorua man had a rally to forget in Nelson, but he has the points to take out the Junior Championship. Next up, we hit the tarmac of the Rally of Waikato for the grand finale to the Parker NZ Championship. But for now, it's farewell from Nelson.